video I spoke about the requirement to listen in different ways if you're looking to hear from people with profound intellectual and multiple disabilities. And I'm sure you can think of lots of different ways to listen. You can listen to bodily expression, you can listen through swinging, you can listen in all sorts of ways. There was one really key difference that underpinned my work, and that was to listen through a different philosophical foundation. And you don't generally go around thinking about the philosophical foundations to your thought processes or to the way that you talk, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. We all act upon philosophical foundations, whether we are aware of them or not. And one of the marvellous things about the depth of intellectual space available within a doctoral study is that you get the chance to, look down and go, okay, what am I basing this all on? And in the Western world, generally, you would find a basis in Descartes and the cogito, I think, therefore I am. It's worth noticing what he was doing when he said that. So he was applying a process of doubt. He was saying, how do I know this is real? I dream things like this. This could all be a dream. How do I know the table is real? How do I know my pen is real? How can I prove that any of this is real? And he found that he could doubt a lot of existence. Like maybe his friends weren't real. Maybe the pen wasn't real. Maybe the table wasn't real. And he was looking to find a foundation to base his belief in everything on. And he said, if I can doubt something, then it's not the foundation. And he went through that process of doubting. And the only thing that he couldn't doubt was that he was thinking. I think, therefore I am. Which works for answering that doubt problem. But what has happened is that as a foundation for our understanding places the I in the think. I think, therefore I am. It's the think and an I. And if you don't think, you don't get to be an I in that foundation. And it has consequences for how we value people, because we value people according to their intellect. We score ourselves, we mark ourselves. I could be wearing a fancy hat today, I might wear one in the future, and people would clap me for an intellectual achievement. But it's not the only thing. Like, if you had a different foundation, what about, he could have gone, I feel, therefore I am. What would the thought landscape be today if we based it on I feel, therefore I am? And another thing that the cogito does is it separates the thinking from the body. So you are, under that understanding, you are a brain inside a body, like your body is a box and your brain's inside. And so I looked to use a different thought foundation in my work. And that is one of the ways that I was able to listen differently to people with profound intellectual and multiple disabilities. So I didn't want one that's going to found anything in thinking, because I needed to be able to work together with these people as equals. And if you're judging us on how much we think, I'm not going to meet you as an equal in that metric. And so I used Merleau-Ponty's Phenomenology of Perception. And Merleau-Ponty, I studied philosophy as an undergraduate, and I think if I had encountered Merleau-Ponty as an undergraduate, I probably would have, printed his picture out on my ring binder and written all of his beautiful quotes. He's a very poetic philosopher, and he is looking at people not as brains in the boxes of bodies, but as movements of consciousness through time. So just imagine yourself for a moment, like you can totally imagine yourself as a brain in the box of a body, can't you? And you can completely mess up that separation, because your brain isn't separate from your body. Your body, like your eyes are picking up the information, your ears are, it's all connected up, isn't it? That separation is artificial, but you can imagine yourself as a brain in the box of a body. Can you imagine yourself as a movement of consciousness through time? It's really beautiful. And so by approaching people with profound intellectual disabilities, not as if they were broken brains in the boxes of bodies shaped by physical disability, but rather as if they were movements of consciousness through time, that opens up a different way of listening. And it was a fantastic adventure.